Hello everyone and welcome back to our course. In the previous lecture, we installed Android Studio, and next up we need to set up the Android NDK. So go into your directory, your main computer directory, and navigate to Program Files. Next up, here we're going to select Epic Games, and we have different options for Unreal depending on which versions of Unreal you have on your computer. We want to specifically go into UE5 Early Access. That is the version that we're currently using for our project. Then we're going to go into Engine and select Extras and then Android. And you can also just go into this path directly just by double-clicking inside of your search bar here, your directory path, and typing in this path. All right, and here you'll notice we have different files. We want to run the Set Up Android script here. So we want to use the one appropriate for our operating system, BAT for Windows, Command for Mac, and then SH for Linux. So I'm going to use BAT Windows batch file. All right, so I'm just going to double click on that, and that will open up my terminal here, my exe file. All right. Press any key to continue. All right, there we go. I just pressed enter. And oftentimes it'll also ask you to press Y to accept, Y for yes, and then enter to accept, and then any key to dismiss. In my case, all I had to do was just double click this and open it and just say everything, just because I've already run this script before. But if you're running this for the first time, you'll often have to press Y for yes and then enter to accept, and then any key to dismiss. And then also, if this is your first time with installing this NDK and running it, you have to restart your computer for the changes to actually take effect. So what this script does is it downloads and installs the required version of Android NDK for our version of Android Studio. Okay, so we have to make sure we have the correct version of Android NDK to match the Android SDK. All right, and after this has run, you can then go into your app data and you'll actually be able to see a folder containing your required NDK version. Okay, so for that, we can go into our main directory again. This time go into users and select your username. Mine is Glitty. And then we're going to go into our app data. But notice here, you actually don't see app data shown up because it's actually a hidden folder. So instead, we can actually just directly access the folder by going into slash. And then here, I'm going to go into app data and hit enter. Okay, so we can actually see that hidden folder. Then we're going to go into local and then select Android, and we have SDK and we have NDK. And if you were able to properly run that script, then you'll see versions of the NDK for you to use. All right, and now if you don't see this, you probably have to restart your computer. Also, make sure that script that we ran previously, that exe script that we just ran, make sure you didn't get any error messages. It has to run successfully. Common error messages are, for example, that your repositories.cfg file cannot be loaded, or that your LLDB file cannot be loaded. And we can talk about different solutions for those coming up in the next lecture, for those two common errors that can occur whenever you run that script. But once you have the script successfully running, then you can restart your computer and you will be able to see this NDK version. If you see these NDK folders inside of this path, then you know you successfully installed the NDK. So join me in our next lecture. We'll talk about potential issues with running this script, and then we'll be able to add Android to our Unreal project. I will see you in the next lecture.